Welcome back, friends, to another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. Today, I'm going to be speaking with Cate. She's a returning guest. She was initially in episode 716 called After Dark Cate. Cate is here today to talk about her antisocial personality disorder, and I want you to be aware that there's going to be some discussion about abortion. Please don't forget that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. Don't forget to save 40% off of your entire order at CozyEarth.com. All you have to do is use the offer code JUICEBOX at checkout. That's JUICEBOX at checkout to save 40% at CozyEarth.com. When you place your first order for AG1 with my link, you'll get 5 free travel packs and a free year's supply of vitamin D. Drink AG1.com/juicebox. Don't forget, if you're a U.S. resident who has type 1 or is the caregiver of someone with type 1, visit t1dexchange.org/juicebox right now and complete that survey. It will take you 10 minutes to complete the survey, and that effort alone will help to move type 1 diabetes research forward. It will cost you nothing to help. Today's podcast is sponsored by US Med. usmed.com/juicebox. You can get your diabetes supplies from the same place that we do. And I'm talking about Dexcom, Libre, Omnipod, Tandem, and so much more. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. This show is sponsored today by the glucagon that my daughter carries, Gvoke HypoPen. Find out more at gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox.
So I am Cate. I still don't know how long I've been a diabetic for. I am from Canada, but in regards to what we're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about it from the UK because I was living in the UK at the time.
Okay. UK. So, Cate, you've done a thing. I'm going to be embarrassed here. I'm just going to go
Excellent.
out. Just let me be embarrassed, okay?
Of course.
You have said once before we were recording, and now when we are recording, I still don't remember how long I've had type 1 diabetes.
We've spoken before. Don't worry if you don't remember.
Which says to me,
yeah,
you and I have done this already. And,
we have.
Yes. And your name is incredibly familiar to me. But, a couple thousand of these conversations and everything gets blurred together a little bit.
Of course.
So Tell me, do you know what episode you were on the first time?
I have no idea the number. It was going to be an After Dark episode. I'm not good with numbers. My memory is shite, so I have no idea.
Do you remember what the title was?
Cate. Genuinely, it was actually just called that. It was like episode whatever number and then Cate, and that was it.
How embarrassing for me. Hold on a second. 716.
There you go.
Cate, let me tell you what else I know. If I called your After Dark Cate, then I listened to it and thought, there's no proper way to describe what happened here.
It was like a smorgasbord of like a conversation. Like I think we talked about like a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, like we talked, mostly it was just about like growing up and being into like drugs and sex and being through like therapy and like suicide attempts and all of that jazz.
Cate has type 1 diabetes, and this conversation includes everything you've come to expect from an After Dark episode. That's what it says. So anyway, okay, great. I feel like you're here for like a targeted reason. So
correct.
What made you reach back out?
So this one, it's generally, I know you're always looking for kind of taboo subjects that I don't really ever find taboo, I think.
Am I always looking for them, or is that just the
always? No, I feel like that's probably the only things that I pay attention to. Like, oh, taboo. Hey, I can fit that mold.
I was going to say, because I have a lovely 4-part series on resilience with a therapist, and And of course, just scads and scads of diabetes management content and everything.
Yeah.
I feel like perhaps the only stories you have are these
are taboo. Absolutely. They're only the interesting ones.
Okay.
I feel like everything else is
boring.
It can be interesting. Not boring. It can be interesting, but yeah, I find that the more that we talk about taboo, the less taboo they become.
Yeah, of course.
Because I find life like what's taboo to me may not be taboo to you, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's this like social construct that we've put on. And so I like to talk about them, to make people feel uncomfortable, because I think you really start to kind of know somebody when they're uncomfortable. And that gives me great pleasure. It kind of defeats that whole, thing of beating down the taboo construct. I don't like it. I think it's silly.
I would have already sung the Cate song, except I believe you're going to say something very serious next. So I didn't want to be like, sweetest taboo. And then you're all like,
like,
have you guys ever eaten human meat? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't sure where you were going to go. So
yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, I suppose that could be taboo.
I mean, I would hope so.
Yeah.
Hey, let me say this. If you're out there right now and you think eating human meat is not taboo, walk yourself into a police station.
Just leave.
And turn yourself over to the authorities, please. Like, that's from me to all of you. Again, if you've eaten human meat, please go directly to the police station and turn yourself in.
Yeah. Please and thank you.
Oh, my God. Really nice. And I have to say this, too. If anyone out there has eaten human meat and you're a great fan of the podcast and you're really downloading everything, not you, okay? But
not you.
But everyone. And also, let me go a little farther. Don't eat someone who's also a fan of the podcast because, I need the downloads and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and spread the word, to all of your cannibal friends. If they're going to download and listen, like that would be great.
See, Cate makes a great point here. If you're at a cannibal party of some sort, I would appreciate if you'd maybe like whip out your podcast player, show people how to subscribe. My God. All right. Well, this took an odd turn. 6 minutes in. You're going to
already lose listeners. Just
Where
by
did that come
cannibalism.
from? When I thought of the most taboo thing I could think of,
that was it.
That's what came to mind. Yeah.
Okay.
That should tell you something.
Good.
Well, it should tell you something that most of the things other people think are taboo, my brain just skipped right over those things.
It's like, absolutely not.
Yeah. I was like, that's fine. No one's worried about that.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right, Cate. So what?
So on that subject, on a serious note.
Yeah. On a serious note, watch this take a left turn from hell. What are you on for?
We're going to talk about abortion.
Oh, Christ, really? Okay.
I know. Which is like in a lot of people's minds is kind of up there with cannibalism. So, I mean, almost like for like, but probably not quite.
Oh, Jesus. Like, I really got to start reading the notes before I start.
There's no fun in that, Scott. Come on.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Come on.
I honestly had no idea that's what we were doing.
That's fine.
Okay. All right. Well, here we go.
Here we go.
Jesus.
And to be fair, I was thinking about it yesterday, probably, because I forget things. And I had about 5 million reminders that I was doing this today. But I came to the realization that I don't think I've ever really spoke about it from like start to finish either.
Okay.
I've been like, hey, partner, like who's my husband now? Mm-hmm. Like I've obviously talked about it with him, and I've talked about it with my mom and my best friend, but it wasn't from like start to finish, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So this is going to be really weird. This is going to be strange for me.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, you're up for this? Listen, hold on real quick. I'm putting my feet up.
Start it off.
I'm putting my feet up, and let me change the mic configuration here. Hold on a second. Sorry, you guys are going to hear a lot of noise. My desk is rattling around. All right, I'm settled. This is, okay, I can do this. Listen. I would like to be serious, obviously, and it sounds like we're going to be very serious moving forward. But I have had conversations on this podcast. If you take insulin or sulfonylureas, you are at risk for your blood sugar going too low. You need a safety net when it matters most. Be ready with Gvoke HypoPen. My daughter carries Gvoke HypoPen everywhere she goes, because it's a ready-to-use rescue pen for treating very low blood sugar in people with diabetes ages 2 and above that I trust. Low blood sugar emergencies can happen unexpectedly, and they demand quick action. Luckily, Gvoke HypoPen can be administered in 2 simple steps, even by yourself in certain situations. Show those around you where you store Gvoke HypoPen and how to use it. They need to know how to use Gvoke HypoPen before an emergency situation happens. Learn more about why Gvoke HypoPen is in Arden's Diabetes Toolkit at gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox. Gvoke shouldn't be used if you have a tumor in the gland on the top of your kidneys called a pheochromocytoma, or if you have a tumor in your pancreas called an insulinoma. Visit gvokeglucagon.com/risk for safety information. I have always disliked ordering diabetes supplies. I'm guessing you have as well. It hasn't been a problem for us for the last few years, though, because we began using US Med. You can too. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514 to get your free benefits check. US Med has served over 1 million people living with diabetes since 1996. They carry everything you need, from CGMs to insulin pumps and diabetes testing supplies and more. I'm talking about all the good ones, all your favorites. Libre 3, Dexcom G7, and pumps like Omnipod 5, Omnipod DASH, Tandem, and most recently, the iLet pump from Beta Bionics. The stuff you're looking for, they have it at US Med. 888-721-1514 or go to usmed.com/juicebox to get started now. Use my link to support the podcast. That's usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. Conversations on this podcast that in my wildest dreams I would never have expected to have had. And, you know, I will tell you that, I mean, I guess right now, trigger warning, probably a lot of things are going to get said in this podcast that, you know, might be triggers. But here's the first one from me. I once received an email from a young woman, I forget if she was maybe in her mid to late 20s by the time I spoke to her, sent me this passionate email that she wanted to come on the podcast and tell the story of her sexual assault in college and how it impacted her diabetes. And I stared at that email for a long time.
Yeah.
And I was like, how am I going to facilitate that conversation? You know, like, and why here? Why me? Like I was just trying to make a podcast. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think all this was going to happen. I spoke to my wife about it a number of times. And then one day I responded back to the person. I said, you know, if this is a story you want to tell, like I'd be happy and proud to help you get it out in the world. And she came on, and at the end of it, I don't know if I said it on the recording or when it was over. I was like, was that okay? Like, did I do okay? Like, I didn't know what I was doing. So everyone get ready for me not to know what I'm doing again. Also, I'm just going to put this out there now. My personal stance on this, I don't know if it's going to come through or come out, but I think it's going to be surprising to some of you. Anyway, okay, go ahead. I mean, listen, can I be honest? I don't know that we need to start all the way at the beginning.
Okay.
But go ahead. Also, I'm going to have to stop myself from making stupid jokes like that one. But let's go ahead and go. You go ahead.
It's fine, because I feel like, I don't know, like there are things that happen that absolutely can laugh about now. And then there's still things that I still see as like traumatic, if you will.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's always easier to kind of not over things, because I don't think you actually ever get over something.
Right.
I think you just kind of learn how to let it be in your life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, but it's always easier to do that when you can like smile about it. So I genuinely do not care if we make completely inappropriate jokes. Like I don't care. I will absolutely.
I don't feel like I'm doing that. Yeah. But I'm going to say this, then I'm going to ask my first question, right? So everyone listening, respect the fact that anyone else making a podcast would have edited the first 10 minutes of this out and just started with, Cate, you're on for a very after school reason, like after school special sadness reason today. And seriously, most people I know would be like, oh, I didn't realize that's what we were talking about. I'm getting rid of that part, but not me. I'm going to leave it in. So
yeah.
Let's just start like by refreshing people on who you are. How old were you when you were diagnosed?
I was 11, turning 12 that year.
How old are you now?
I'm going to be 39 next month, almost in a month, actually.
Let me do this with you. You take the 9 and subtract 1, you come up with an 8. You take the 3 and you subtract 1. So 28 years ago.
Oh, there you go. See, it's easy. Look at you. Easy math.
Well, not if you live in Canada and they teach you to count with penguin feces or whatever they do. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how they teach you people. You're feral, right? You just wander around eating fish heads. And I understand. Yeah. You guys should build a city. That's all I'm saying. It would really bring things around. Also, by the way, I don't know where in the Canada you are, but I don't know if anybody saw the news. Toronto can't handle a little rain.
No.
Jesus Christ.
They can't do it with snow either. Honestly, like they're in the news every single season because they have to like do an emergency, whatever.
They were swimming in the streets the other day.
Yeah.
Poor Isabel almost floated away. So 28 years ago, type 1 diabetes. Hey, your computer's making noises. Like, is there a way we can stop that? Because I know for certain you're going to say abortion and then it's going to go bing. And I'm going to be like, yeah. I like, don't need that.
Like that's what that is.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So 28 years ago, you're diagnosed 11, turning 12 years old. We've gone over your whole story in 716. If people want to go listen to that After Dark episode. At what point, let's just jump ahead. At what point do you become pregnant?
So I was turning 30 that year. So it was 9 years ago.
Okay. You're dating, you're married, you're with somebody long term?
So I was dating him. So Tyler, who's my husband now, we started dating March of 2015. And then I believe I became pregnant. I want to say it was May, June, July, August. Yeah. So then it would have been at like some point in May, I became pregnant.
How long had you been dating at that point?
Well, we got together in March. So like 2 months.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. See, I can do easy maths too.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. I did you pull the goalie or were you already skating with an extra player?
Yeah. So like, just because of my past history and just things that had happened in the past, just with my health and what have you,
right,
as well as like being long-term with other partners and not like I hadn't been on birth control for years and not using anything because that was me being stupid. I never got pregnant ever. I've never had a scare. Never, ever. Like, so I just assumed that I couldn't, in all honesty, like really, really stupid, but I just assumed that I couldn't because I've never had a close call, nothing like that.
Here comes my first question. Jesus, sorry. So in your sexual history, were you, oh God, how am I going to do this?
Promiscuous?
No, I don't mean that. I mean, when, because that's not what I meant. What I was trying to, oh my God, I don't know a way to do this. How were you avoiding it before? You weren't just like the act wasn't ending, oh God, inside of you.
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes it was. Absolutely.
And you just weren't getting pregnant and you were like, obviously I just can't get pregnant.
Yeah. Like I have PCOS. And I just assumed because it's happened often. I've been with like long-term people quite a few times. Like when I say completely ignorant, which most like a lot of people are when it comes to babies and getting pregnant and sex and stuff like that. Like,
I've seen the world. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I just made the assumption that I wasn't able to get pregnant because I was 30, had so many stupid calls, and it just never, ever happened. Ever. Like ever.
Was your attitude like, go ahead, throw it in there, nothing's going to happen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And I was also like, the way that I am, which also gets brought out in the first episode too, like that we first talked, I have like predeposition. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Oh, you
Thank
poor
you,
Canadian.
Deposition. I'm a fucking lawyer. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, what you said. Thank you for pronouncing it correctly. I feel like I have this thing like nothing can happen to me. Like I'm invincible.
Oh, that's just
and that's
human.
not. And like kids and teens feel that way usually. You know what I mean? Like they got that really weird thing, but they still kind of tend to think that the really bad stuff could potentially happen to them. But I don't have that. I don't think of consequences to actions. I never have. I doubt I ever will. It's just part of how I've always been. So I also like that has a strong play in it. It's like, yeah, yes, this thing can happen. Yes, I know it can happen, but it's never going to happen to me. And if it does, like it's not in me to think about it or whatever. Like I've never been able to ever.
It has a name, Cate.
I'm like a sociopath, but yeah.
No, actually, that's not the name I was thinking of. But I use ChatGPT here a little bit because I knew there was an answer to this question. I didn't want to fumble around for it. Also, I'm using this opportunity to say that if everything went well in the next 4 weeks, you guys have already been listening to a new series with my daughter called I Don't Understand, where Arden and I sit down and go over a single topic that she legitimately doesn't understand. We talk about it and then break it down and then define it. Yeah. Okay. So the psychological mechanism that allows humans to believe that bad things can't happen to them is known as optimism bias. To break down the concept, optimism bias is a cognitive bias that causes individuals to believe they are less likely to experience negative events and more likely to experience positive events compared to others. Key factors of this: people often believe they have more control over their outcomes than they actually do. This leads to a sense of invulnerability. Individuals tend to view themselves in a more favorable light, believing they are smarter, more skilled, and more capable than others. Optimism bias helps in managing anxiety and stress by maintaining a positive outlook on life and future events. This is actually, it's a healthy thing for you to believe in yourself and expect that things won't go wrong. I've said this before on the podcast. If you were running around thinking stuff was going to go wrong all the time, that would be a mental illness. It would drive you into a problem. Mm-hmm. People may selectively focus on information that supports a positive outlook and ignore or downplay negative information. With health, it's believing one is less likely to get sick or develop chronic illnesses despite engaging in risky behaviors. And it goes on from there.
Yeah.
There are benefits to it, as I said, and of course there are drawbacks. But you had that feeling like, I'm invincible, nothing's going to happen to me.
Yeah, but mine's tied into antisocial personality disorder as opposed to optimism, which I like your version better. So that's what we're going to start telling doctors.
I couldn't remember enough of our conversation to ask, but if you were promiscuous at a young age, do you have bipolar or something like that?
No, so it's antisocial personality disorder. So I don't have empathy. I don't show empathy for anyone. I don't have the ability to. I never have. Incredibly impulsive, kind of a better than thou way of thinking.
Tell me if you heard episode 1253 the beginning of this week.
No, I haven't.
Can GLP meds impact mental health? Episode 1253.
Okay.
Definitely go listen to it.
Okay.
Because a mom came on and laid out a story of her daughter who is type 1 and has bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
And they worked through, the problems are extensive, eventually getting the kid on lithium, which took away her suicidal ideation, but did not take away any of the other issues. And the rest of it went away when she started using a GLP.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe inflammation. I don't know. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. Yeah. I'm an idiot who figured out how to pay for this microphone. Like, go listen to it. It's crazy.
Okay.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you have, at the moment, antisocial. Look at me. I'm so positive. I'm like, at the moment, till you get some Wegovy, and then you'll probably be fine. By the way, are the GLP companies why are they not knocking down my door to buy an ad? I'm obviously on the team. Like, come on. No. Okay. So that's who you've been, who you are. How has that impacted? Like, it sounds like you don't have any trouble forming private relationships. Do you have trouble keeping them?
Yes.
Okay. So when Tyler, right?
Yeah.
When Tyler, listen, Tyler should have known better. That's first of all.
That's just what I tell him all the time.
Yeah. Here's
your choice.
Here's a PSA for boys.
Yeah.
When a girl you've known for 60 days goes, don't worry about it, keep going. Yeah. Here's what you do. You go, oh, no.
Yeah.
I ain't paying for your Corolla. No. I see what's happening here. Like,
exactly.
Okay. Anyway, exactly. Tyler, obviously, terrible pullout game. But
and it just like proves that, like, I shouldn't say proves, but boys think that they're penises a lot. And yeah. So clearly when you're about to jizz, there's no brain. There's no blood in the actual brain. It's just all in the penis being like, I don't care.
I feel awkward because you're significantly younger than I am, but once you get to that point, like you could probably say to me, if you keep going, I'm going to like, I don't know, kill your puppy. And I'd be like, he's lived a good life.
Okay.
Yeah. You can make fun of boys all you want. And I don't know what it feels like to be on the other side of intercourse, but on our side of it, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
So you get it. You can kind of understand poor Tyler and where
No. If you would have told Tyler in the middle of it, he could stop the Ukraine war. He'd have been like, they've already got all those weapons. They probably want to use them. Tyler does what he does. And then you find out you're pregnant. What's how does that, 2 months is not a long time. So how does that conversation go?
In all honesty, it's like, thankfully, Tyler kind of already knew my personality at the time. So when I find out, it's probably 2 months later, in all honesty, because I had my periods, but they were not right, but I still had them.
Okay.
So like thinking back now, definitely different from what the normal was, but it also wasn't weird for me to have a bit of an abnormal period. It would be weird for me not to have one at all, but it would be fine for me to have an abnormal period because I was still having them. It never even, I didn't even clock it like the first close to 2 months.
So you guys have been together about 4 months at this point then, when you're like, I think I got a bun in the oven.
Absolutely.
Okay,
It is like we're into like end of July going into August by the time I'm like, something is really wrong with me. Yeah.
Okay. Go to a doctor, figure it out on your own, pee on a stick. What do you do?
So I had to pee on a stick. So this is the thing about the UK. So I was in the midst, so everything with Tyler, like my relationship with Tyler accelerated greatly, even without that. So I was in the midst of moving in with Tyler. My lease was up. We were kind of like in it to win it, it felt great in more ways than one.
Let me point out, Kate, too, you got the hormones running around too. You don't even realize. Yeah.
I was like, this is amazing.
Your body's this guy seems like the right one, and I need to make a nest with him. Yeah.
I was not. I had a very difficult pregnancy. Honestly, the guy was. I must have been awesome in bed.
Wait, hold on. What? I'm sorry.
I was like, I must have been awesome in bed or something, because I was like an utter bitch, like an absolute. If I'm going to go back to my UK roots, like an absolute, an awful. I was just grouchy, and I was like sick, and my numbers were high, and I was just.
You're saying there wasn't a lot. Good. There wasn't a lot of good about being around you.
And he was like, you know what? Let's move in.
It's okay with me.
He was like, this is great.
Yeah,
I love this for
bring
us.
your toothbrush, lady with the velvet pocket. You come on over. Yeah. I got you. Well, good for you, Kate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sounds like you got something special there.
Something.
Yeah.
Good for Something's going on for me.
Do you know any trick? No, that's not right in this conversation. You're not doing anything special, is what I'm saying?
Nothing. No.
All right.
No. I got nothing.
You've never walked into a room with a lamp and said, I have an idea.
No, I got an idea.
Okay. All right. Okay.
No, that's weird. I wouldn't totally do that with a lamp.
It could be a small lamp. I don't know what we're talking about exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah. I was probably thinking a lava
leg lamp.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what I was getting at. So he's into you big time. You're flooded with pregnancy hormones, so you think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. A lot of women I shouldn't say this. I'm going to get people divorced, but a lot of people are, when they're on birth control, end up very attracted to men that they later find out when they're off birth control. They're like, I don't really like this guy.
Amazing.
Yeah. But the birth control pill gives you that, I'm pregnant vibe. And you're looking for anybody who looks like they can put 3 squares on the table and maybe hug a kid once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you guys are moving in. It's going quickly. You find out you're pregnant. You go to him and you say,
hey, I'm pregnant. It's like we both, I want to say we both went to the pharmacy to grab
17 more
test.
pregnancy tests.
Yeah,
okay.
basically.
Yeah.
Like, we're trying to figure out which one's the best one, most accurate. Came back, like, peed on the stick and was like, yeah, so it's like, here's positive. Like, yeah, everything kind of just stood still.
Not something you were excited about.
No. And I've never really wanted kids. Like, that was never anything that I saw for myself.
Do you have kids now?
No. Well, I mean, I've got 3 dogs and they are absolutely my children. So yes, but
all right, Kate,
no.
Listen, I mean, with deference to dog lovers, I mean, yeah, okay. But you don't have any, you've steadfastly stuck to that over the last 8 years or so.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it's an oh shit from you. What is it from him?
It's kind of the same. Like, it's more of, like, it was honestly like a night of stunned silence.
Staring?
Like, yeah. Mm-hmm. And like, okay, so what now is really, yeah. Like, it was a lot of, I think both of us kind of had like a bit of a panic face on.
Who's the first one who, like, is brave enough to say out loud, are we keeping a baby? Like, who says that?
In all honesty, I don't know. And I don't know if it was me being like, I can't keep this, or if it was me being like, what are your thoughts on not keeping it, or something like that. And I also don't know if it was him being like, are you going to keep it? Tyler, throughout the entire thing, wasn't like, this is your decision. It's not like he was pushing it on me, because that's not what he was doing. Mm-hmm. But he made it very clear that he was along for the ride no matter what.
That seems like his vibe.
And this was my decision. Okay. Like, so if I wanted to be pregnant, if I wanted to go through with it, he was 100% super excited about it. If I thought I wasn't able to, and that my health couldn't sustain it, because currently it wasn't able to sustain it, be able to not do anything, he was like 100% on board with you. So, like, he was always there, but made sure that in the end, it was my decision. And he let me know that he was like, I've never aspired to be a dad. He was like, I'm happy if we have them. I'm happy if we don't. But he's like, but this is not, I wasn't like, I need to be a dad and nothing else matters. You know, he was like, I have other aspirations. You know, he's like, would this be amazing? Yeah. Would it not be? Yeah. Like, it's fine.
Setting your health aside for a second and going back in that moment, and even with hindsight, can you, beyond, I just never thought of having kids or didn't want kids, can you put more context to what it is about being a parent that's not attractive to you?
So it has changed since, but it was just the whole, I've just never, at the time, I never felt it. I have friends who, like, that was their number one dream. Like, that's what they talked about when they were looking for a partner. That's what they were all about it, you know? And it was, you know, when they talked about the future, it was about family. And I was like, I'm traveling the fucking world. Like, I've got shit to do. Like, I'm not, absolutely not. Like, my friends have been having kids since they were like 16 and 17.
Jesus. Yeah, like, okay. Well, so you've been around it then.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. But it wasn't, give me a second. It's not that I don't like kids or I don't think I'd be a good parent. It's, I'm trying to live a life here that I think would be slowed down by having children.
No, it was, I'm trying to live a life here that I don't see children in.
Okay.
Like, that's really, like, not that I would be slowed down. A side thought. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to deny it. Like, I'm not going to deny that I absolutely think that children can slow you down. Do I think that they can stop you? No. Do I think that they can slow you down? Yeah. Do I think you need to think differently about how you do things? Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it changes your course.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, it does.
Can I ask you, if you had that baby, do you think you would have done that? Do you think you would have said, okay, well, I'm going to set aside the things that I wanted to do and I'm going to raise the baby the way that I think that should happen? Or do you think you would have been? I
probably would have fucked it up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Do you think you would just be in Madagascar with a baby on your hip?
No. I don't. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Because again, my brain doesn't think like that either. So, like, I can't picture a future if it's not a possibility. And currently, like, it didn't happen. So I can't think of the what ifs. My brain doesn't function that way.
Tell me your fears of what you would have messed up with a baby.
I had always so my biggest fear, and it still is that I don't have empathy. I don't have it at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so how I care for people is very different than how you would care for people, or how Tyler cares for people. Even my own mother, he treats her very differently than I do and speaks to her differently. And so I'm very cognizant of that you need a type of nurturing, I think, to be able to ensure that your kid kind of knows what the human ability is to be around others. You know what I mean? I don't think I would want another one of me around, just hanging out like that. That to me, it's not a great life to live. It really isn't.
Okay.
I know the vast differences between how I interact with people compared to others, and others get a lot more fulfillment with being around people and being in their jobs and being in a family and being a friend and all that jazz. It's very different for them. Whereas for me, I'm manipulative. I am uncaring in a way that most would see as caring. I am impulsive. I don't give a shit what I say, and I don't care about how any of it affects you. I don't care. I don't care if you're sick. I don't give a shit. It doesn't affect me. Why do I care if you're sick right now? Oh, you're dying? Sucks for you. Yikes.
Yeah. Something comes up on social media and you're like, oh my God, I don't know, a famous actor died. You don't, nothing.
And that's fucking weird as shit to me. There's been
it's
Michael
weird
Jackson.
To you that people care.
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael Jackson died, this person that you don't even know. And my boss at the time was bawling her eyes out. And I was like, what the fuck?
That seems unstable to me, but whatever.
What? Yeah.
Yeah. Don't judge yourself too hard on that one. I was when somebody famous I don't know passes away, I'm like, that's Donald Sutherland died recently. And I was like, it made me
Canadian.
go. It made me go.
He's also Canadian.
Oh, Canadian. I thought you said comedian. I was like, no, he's not. No, Canadian. Yeah. And I, correct. Look at me. I'm like, yes, point for you. And I thought, I stopped for a second and I said, oh, MASH was such a good movie. And he was terrific in it. And I thought about a couple of other things he was in. And then it occurred to me that he had worked well into the end of his life and that we'd enjoyed him in things all the way up to Hunger Games and stuff like that. And I took a second to tell my kids, I was like, hey, that guy was a really good actor. And I was like, and his son's an actor too. And I was like, have you seen this movie? Then I never thought about it again. And I did not cry. He wasn't one of my favorites or anything like that, but I felt like I had a reasonable reaction to that. Would you have not even gone that far into it?
Oh no, I was like, oh, he's Canadian, and then moved on with my life.
That would have been the end of it. Gotcha.
That was the end of it. I absolutely know he died because it was all over my social. But I was like, oh, he's Canadian.
And then there's no
literally
other
with that influx of
oh yeah, we lost another ice pirate. Okay, so let me slow you down for a second and ask you this question: can you characterize your day-to-day life? Are you happy, fulfilled? When you think about what life is, what is it?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question outside of it sounding like a scholarly answer. Life is a bunch of events that happens to you until you die, and some of them are fun, and some of them are shit, and it is just what it is.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty accurate. What's the most joyous thing that's happened to you in the last month?
And it weirds Tyler out, but my dogs are genuinely, and I don't know why. I have zero idea why, but I know love because I love them.
Okay.
And I know that full stop. And it allows me to be like, wow, so this is how normal people feel. I don't even, and Tyler knows it, but the type of affection and to the extent of affection and what I feel inside that I feel for my dogs, I don't feel for my husband. Can I say that I love my husband? Absolutely. In the manner of which I can and do. Absolutely. Like, yes, full stop as well. Is it what I think how you love your wife or have loved your wife and love your kids? No. Like, I know it's different.
Couple of questions. You're on that Titanic film and you're floating on the headboard that you pretend only fits one person. But then you realize this thing's huge and I could have easily gotten Leonardo DiCaprio up on this thing. And up comes Tyler and your dog. Who do you pull up on the headboard?
The dog.
With you? The dog. And what do you tell Tyler? Anything?
Love you. Like, hopefully you'll stay alive in this ice cold water.
But the dog needs to come out.
The dog is,
He knows this. Tyler's aware of this.
Yeah.
Were you abused as a young person?
No. Do I have trauma? Yes. Did it come from that? No. This is just something how I'm wired.
Okay. What about Tyler lets him be okay with that?
In all honesty, I do not know. I don't know. I am very open. I am very communicative. He understands, because there are absolutely times where I have to go to him and ask him about like human reaction, human emotion, and about whether or not this is right, like, or not right, if this is normal. Or if this person is overreacting. Like, so he has daily conversations with me about people and their like emotional regulation and whether or not it's normal. Okay. He knows that. So like if he's telling me something and he's super excited about it and I've never had the conversation before, I don't know how to react. Right. So a lot of my responses are learned behaviors. I mimic.
You don't feel them or even mean them. You're just
it's all mimic, right? Like, so this is how I know how to soothe someone when they're crying because
you've seen it happen.
I've seen it exactly in front of me, not on a movie. Like, it's actually happened, and it's happened a few times. So Tyler's used to me being like, how do you want me to react? Like, what do you want me to say?
Has he suffered trauma as a child?
No. Like, bless him. I'm so fucking lucky. It's stupid. Like, it honestly is really, really stupid.
Is he so empathetic that he can make up for this?
Or he gets something else from it. I don't know. Or he doesn't understand, and then he does, because there are times where his face falls. It's like he's forgotten and then he remembers who he's dealing with.
Do you feel like you're letting him down when that happens? You don't, do you?
Probably not to the extent that you would.
Okay.
So like I do.
You recognize it.
Exactly.
Donald Sutherland's Canadian, but then that's the end of it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I wish I could do better. Like, I do say that. Like, so I do have, like, which is also kind of like a doctor would say, yeah, but you do have a bit of regret. Like, you do kind of feel that consequence, but I don't align it the same way.
Enough.
But I do want to be better for him.
Right. We don't want to be falling apart because Michael Jackson's dead, but we'd like to sit around for a minute and go, oh my God, Man in the Mirror is a good song. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I want to be better for him. It was someone else. Like, I don't have that for them. So I think he also recognizes that, like, how I am with him is actually very different than how I am with other people, and other people I've had in my life and that I'm supposed to love, you know, that has that relationship with me is supposed to be different. And he can see that it's not. Like, there's nothing there, right? Where there is something there with him.
Yeah. Let me ask two questions. They're going to seem strange, but they're the ones in my head right now. This one's got nothing to do with me. I think it's going to make a point. You listen to this podcast, right?
Yes.
How do you feel about me?
I don't feel anything about you.
You don't feel anything about. No, that's fine. That's what I'm expecting you to say. But you've gotten actionable information from the podcast that's made you a healthier person. Is that right?
Yes.
Are you grateful?
No.
If I said to you, Cate, hey, I need $20, would you send it to me?
No. Unless we made like a deal. So unless I benefit from it in some way, no.
You get done listening to an episode and you're like, God damn, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that next time I eat blah, blah, blah. Thank God Scott's alive. No?
No.
Okay. Now, some questions that in 2024 people definitely don't ask anymore, but I think they're important, and I'm just going to ask them. Please, if you don't want to answer any of them, just tell me you don't want to answer. Okay?
Okay.
I'm trying to think about this from Tyler's perspective for a second, and I'm going to get very, very surface because you've gone through the deep stuff and there's not a lot to swim in. Are you rich?
No.
Are you hot?
I would say that I am attractive. Yes. Yes, I do have that body that I have a body that men are attracted to. Yes.
Okay. Are you ultra sexual?
I used to be. Yes.
But no, not now.
Not now. No.
Because
there's no need to be unless I want something.
Because you got him.
Yeah.
All right. So you were throwing that thing at anybody to get them in there, but now they're there and you're like, I don't need to give it to you to keep you here because you're staying. I can see you're staying. So like, there's no reason to do this.
Or they've lost usefulness.
Does the sex bring you any pleasure?
Currently, it doesn't. Not because it's not good, but right now, I don't know if that's going on. It's a.
Well, you just stuck up for Tyler. That was interesting.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, because you were like, listen, Tyler can sling dick. It's not his fault.
He can.
Okay?
He can. Yeah.
Okay. Like, so like, but it's not, but nothing. You don't care.
I don't care. Yeah. I don't care if we have it. Like,
do you do it even though you don't want to?
I do in the moment. Like, I know that I get something from it. That's how I see it. Does that make sense? So he wants that. So the reasons why we have it are two different. So he wants to have it because it's intimacy, right? He wants to physically show his love for me. He likes that intimacy. He likes the touching. I can't stand him touching me. I can't stand people touching me. I see it as a thing that I derive pleasure from, but it's not long lasting. And once it's done, right? Like, it's not like it stays with me the rest of the day. Like, yeah, it kind of puts me in a good mood because the endorphins are going and what have you, and it's dopamine.
Right.
But that isn't everlasting to me. That doesn't stay.
Okay.
Do I constantly want to seek it out so that I can get it? I used to. That's kind of the reasons why. It kind of made me feel a bit more normal.
Mm-hmm. So you're having a lot of sex at one point to make you feel more normal. Because the endorphins. Yeah. Okay.
And because I got something, it was like, oh, I'm feeling something, right? Like when you kind of, and it's not that I feel dead inside all of the time, but you're kind of feeling dead inside all of the time. So whatever, it's the same reason why I go for, like, I used to be extremely impulsive and put myself in really dangerous situations is because
for the jolt.
You get something from it. Absolutely.
Hey,
You're like,
listen,
fuck yes.
Can
like,
I tell you something?
What a way to be alive. Amazing. Like,
I was having a bad day the other day and I went out and drove fast on purpose. like to get some adrenaline going.
You don't do that every day?
No. I was having a particularly bad day and I was like, if I just drive quickly for 5 seconds, I can pop my adrenaline up and get rid of this. And I actually did that on purpose. So, and I did that, by the way, on a back street near a school bus stop. No, I'm just kidding. I went somewhere that I thought was very safe and kind of out of the way. Well, this is very honest of you, first of all, Kate. If you don't feel like you owe me anything, and you don't give a shit what anybody else thinks, why are you telling this story? Because a lot of people say I come on to tell my story to help other people, but you don't care if you're helping other people. Are you bragging?
No. And it's like, no, I don't. I'm trying to think of.
What do you get out of this?
How to describe it. Does it stroke an ego in a way? Probably. Like, it's stupid to not think so. Do I think it's important? Probably. Do I think it's important because I think I'm important? Likely.
Why do you care if it's important?
Yeah. So like that's, yeah.
Good question. Because you don't go around telling people I was on a podcast if you want to listen, right?
No, I don't.
Yeah, because you don't care if they like you or not.
No, I don't. Absolutely not. No. And I do business the same way. I get into a lot of because I don't give a shit. I don't care.
You're incredibly consistent.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's no you don't care if Tyler cares, you don't care if I care, you don't care if you're not trying to make a faceless person like you, no. But you're still here. I mean, it's an hour of your life. You're telling a lot of intimate things. I'm assuming you don't tell a lot of people this stuff, right?
It's not something that you just bring up in like normal conversation. If anyone were to ask me, absolutely, I would tell them. Because because I don't care. I have nothing to hide, right? To me, Do I think more people should be like me? Yes. Do I think that telling my story can give some permission? Not in the sense of them not caring, but telling people so that it's not like it happens to people. I'm also like again, this is where a contradiction will come in. Like I'm a huge feminist. And so for whatever reason, I have like a vigilante like type of complex in the sense that I feel like things happen to people that shouldn't. And I think that they deserve justice a lot more than what they've received. And
karma's not equally being doled out in the world.
Absolutely. And I think anyone who believes it is a liar to themselves, and they need to be truthful.
But why do you care about this part?
So because we barely even talked about it, but the abortion side of things is that women's right to choose or not to choose, I think, is used so much as a political platform or as a religious platform or as just a way, like a righteous platform, that I think that they're villainized and they shouldn't be villainized.
Why do you care?
So that's what I mean is that's like
so this is important.
Contradiction. Yeah. Like that one.
You're fired up about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Like
Tyler loves you. Don't give a he looks sad and he just wants to feel my skin touches. He can go fucking pound sand.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Right.
If anyone's around with Tyler, he belongs to me. He's mine. He belongs to me. He's mine. And I will ruin anyone who affects him.
Why?
If that makes sense.
Why do you care about that?
Because he's, think of it as almost like a possession. I don't think of Tyler as a possession, but I also think of Tyler as a possession. So he's mine to protect. And yeah. So but
not for his well-being, for yours. Cause you went to all this trouble.
It all comes. Absolutely. So, and that's just the part of the thing is that it will always come back to me for like a selfish reason.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, listen, Cate, here's the high side of this. Anybody who got this far into it, who's very pro, like anti-abortion is like, it's probably okay that this girl didn't have a baby. So I'm not usually for this, but okay. Yeah. I'm going to make an exception here for Cate. Yeah. So you destroy another person for fucking with Tyler because of all the hard work you put into getting Tyler into your house and keeping him quiet when you don't want to have sex with him. Like you got him where you want him now. You don't need anybody messing with him.
Not in if they are, and it's not like messing like flirting. Like I don't mean like that, but if
it's hard to hurt him or I get what you're saying.
If you're mean to him, I absolutely will you up.
Are you mean to him?
Make him upset. Probably he will probably be the first one to say that I'm mean to him. Yeah.
Do you make him upset?
Likely. Yeah.
Why is it not okay for other people? It would be
foolish not to think that because.
All right. No, wait.
There doesn't need to be logic to it, Scott. It's because.
Why is it okay for you?
It's not. I will never condone any the way that I am to anyone.
Is there no effort to change it?
I think so. And again, it's I can see myself change in how I am with Tyler all of the time. And he can too. How we first were to how we are now is almost night and day.
So you just need to live to 197 and you think this is all going to be okay?
Hopefully not. No, I will also go before he will, most likely.
Wait, why?
And so I know that he will probably have a really nice life.
Wait, why do you think you'll go before him?
Outside of stats, I know that women live longer, but I've got a few
things going.
Yeah.
How do you find the energy to care about your diabetes?
It's a thing that is there that and if I don't manage it, then it's up my life.
And that you care about
is a benefit to me. So if I want to continue to live longer, if I during a really not so great patch growing up when we were still trying to figure out what the was going on and what have you, absolutely tried to commit suicide a few times and what have you, and absolutely used diabetes as a tool to self-harm. because it's not useful to me. Like if I want to die, keeping track of it, like keeping it good and good control or whatever is no longer beneficial.
I feel like I'm going to take a lot of shit for this next question, but it feels like the next obvious question.
Yeah.
Oh God, hold on a second. I don't want to be judged and I don't want emails. Okay. Just try to put yourself in my position. Okay. Why is it you want to be alive?
Because I still get pleasure from being alive. I find life very interesting, and I find people very interesting, and I like very interesting.
But like subjects, you don't want to be involved.
Subjects. Oh God, no. Yeah, absolutely. Like to be studied to the point where like Tyler absolutely is like, you need to stop talking. Because he thinks, I get really fascinated. Well, no, but I get really fascinated by stuff, and if it fascinates me or gets me excited, and I haven't come across this particular situation, I don't really know how to react. So it's kind of like, it's not like autism, but it's almost like you don't recognize the social thing that's happening, and you make it extremely awkward, and how you've reacted is not normal. So I do that. So like I had started reading about Rwanda and like the genocide there and what have you. And then I met someone from Rwanda, and I was like, did you grow up during? And she's like, yeah, like this is the reason why I came to Canada. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's fascinating. That's not something that you tell someone who literally went through a genocide, right? I was like, tell me everything. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, like that's
right.
I'm so sorry that's what you went through. Like that must have been horrific. Like, did you, like hopefully your family's okay. Like that's usually how you're supposed to respond. Whereas I was like, science experiment, like amazing. Like, tell me everything. Like
she's not
did
a person.
You see it in real life? Yeah, no, absolutely not.
She's a reporter on something that you found interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so like Tyler's like, that's not how you do that. That's absolutely not how you go about that conversation. And I was like, oh. And then so he had to like teach me how to go through a conversation like a normal person.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, like, and he does that. Like, we'll go, and it's like small things as well. We'll go to like a craft market around Christmas. People are selling their artisan wares that they put blood, sweat, and tears into that I don't give a shit about, and I will absolutely just start being like, I really hate this chain. It looks cheap. It's fine. And like the person is literally right in front of me.
And you're not like, trying to hurt their feelings. What you tell people.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to, I'm stating facts of how I like, this looks cheap. Like, and he's like, that's not, you don't do that. Like, that's not what you're supposed to do. I was like, oh, what am I supposed to do? Let me educate you. This is what you're supposed to do.
People might be thinking, well, Scott got pretty far away from the abortion conversation, but, and here's why. There's nowhere to go with it. Because if I ask her how she felt, like, because all my questions were going to be about like, hey, in hindsight, are you sorry you did it? Like, did you have any lingering guilt? I think we know all the answers to all those questions.
Well, no. Like,
wait, no.
So like, do you
ever think about it?
Absolutely, I do.
You wonder what the baby might be like?
Absolutely, I do.
Why the f do you care? Wait, Jesus. Okay, hold on. I'm sorry.
Because I'm curious. Like, it's like. And it's
wait a minute. Wait. Are you curious what the baby would be like?
I don't.
Or do you
this
miss?
Is what I don't know. So like this is but I don't know, right? Like, and there are things that like happen in my life. Even how I feel about my dogs, I didn't know what was going on, or like I don't know until I know. Right? Like until someone's like, this is what this is. I was like, oh, okay.
Have you ever wondered what if I would have had that baby and it would have changed all these feelings for me and I would have
would it have changed me? Is this the catalyst of me being different? Would I think about this child as I would my dogs? As I do Tyler, like
we don't want you to think about the baby like Tyler, but like no, maybe
but in the sense of like like I went mama bear. You always hear moms say that, like, oh, I'll go full on mama bear on them, and like I do that for Tyler, like because it's this protective instinct. I think that like would I have it because I don't care, or would I because it's mine, and it's mine in a completely different way than what Tyler is.
Have you ever put somebody else before you? Would you step in front of a bullet for someone?
If it benefited me, yes.
How would it benefit you? You're going to get shot. It's not going to benefit you. So
no, but it absolutely can. Absolutely can.
Would you give your life?
This is how you can tell that you are not a manipulative person. So that like you just think of life very differently than I do.
Yeah. Would you give your life for someone else?
Absolutely not. That doesn't benefit me at all. I would be dead. Okay. Why would I give my life for somebody?
What if it was your kid?
I don't know. I don't have a child.
Tyler. No.
I don't know.
The dog.
I don't know.
Yeah, probably not though, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think you'd be like, "Oops, guys, you're gonna die. Sorry." Ugh.
I don't know. I don't know. I genuinely like I can for like how I've been like, yes, no, I don't care about you. Like I can be very blunt and be like, I know this for fact. For those, which is not common in my life, for those I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Can I tell you something I've been thinking about for a half an hour?
Yeah.
After we have this conversation, I'm going to run it through and turn it into a transcript. I don't usually do that right away. That usually happens like long after, like way down the line in editing. I'm going to put this out as an MP3, turn it into a transcript, feed it into ChatGPT 4.0 and say, what is wrong with Cate?
Can you share the results with me?
Oh,
I hope it finds me like a very normal person. I know it won't.
Can I tell you something? I'm not just going to share it. I'm going to read it into the end of the recording.
Yeah.
And like because and here's why. Not because I think that AI has the answers to everything, but because I think that inside of this conversation, like, you know, when you listen to something like this, and at the end you go, oh, you know what? Like she said this and that means this. And people have all these theories, but people's brains aren't big enough to hold all. But ChatGPT can hold everything that you've said and come up with a diagnosis for what's happening to you.
Yeah.
Because even when I asked, like, do you ever think about what the baby might be like? It's not in terms of like, yeah, I wonder what it would be like to have an 8-year-old running around my house that loves me unconditionally and I love it back unconditionally. You're not thinking about that. You're just thinking again, like as a researcher, like, oh, I do wonder what it would be like, but not the way other people are thinking about it. And by the way, I don't think that makes you, there's some people who are going to hear this and think this woman's a monster. It's wiring. Like it's
just fact.
Wiring. No. It's wiring and don't, no. It's wiring and chemicals. And it's no different than like you couldn't get upset at somebody for not finding red roses like pretty. Like it's just whatever is all inside of them. They look at a red rose and they go, not the flower for me. Right. And then other people see them and think, oh, those are so gorgeous. And look how silky they are and blah, blah. I don't think anyone, I just genuinely don't think that people turn into who they are decisively. I think it's so much about, you know, what's inside of you and literally the chemicals running around inside of you. And I mean, just imagine that this little 11-year-old girl was running around bipolar and she took a peptide and her symptoms went away. Like, so there's a world where there's a thing that we could inject into you that would turn things a little more back to what we consider to be normal, where you might suddenly look at Tyler and be like, oh my God, there you are. Give me a hug. Have you ever considered that you're not the way you'd want to be if you could be?
No, because again, it's one of those, like my brain doesn't,
I understand why. Yeah. But have you ever thought
that way?
Never once. You've never philosophized about it?
No. My brain like doesn't allow it. Like it automatically gets dismissed. Like I can't entertain it because I can't.
Do you like me when you listen, or are you just listening because you need it for diabetes?
The latter.
Yeah, because I probably seem like a pussy to you, right?
No. No, not at all. No, I wouldn't.
Like when I start crying in the middle of someone's story, you don't go, Jesus Christ, man.
Oh,
tuck your vagina up and let's get going.
You could probably hear my eye roll from where you are. Yeah, absolutely.
Like somebody says something like thoughtful sometimes even. I'm like, oh, that made me tear up. Like, that's so nice. And you're probably like, oh, I wouldn't let this guy anywhere near my naked ass. Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Okay. Do you find me amusing?
Yes.
You do? Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, but like you and I have had laughs during this conversation.
Oh no, I'm hilarious. But I mean, I don't know if it's touching you or not, is what I'm saying.
See, look, I find you amusing right now. Yeah. So there you go.
No. I'm incredibly funny. That's for certain. But only to certain people. But I wasn't certain if you were going to be one of those people or not. And so you started listening to this because you're like, I need help with I see people talking about this thing. It helps them with their diabetes. I have diabetes. Yes. I'll go use it and make me better.
That's exactly, that is genuinely.
So I can live longer and be unhappy.
Yeah. So okay. It was what? And it wasn't because other people were talking. Well, no, I don't think it was that other people were talking about it. I was like, okay, I've gotten better control over my diabetes, but I want to do better.
You're trying to upgrade one more time. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so I genuinely did a Google search or looked up on Spotify because I was like, okay, so podcasts, maybe it's something that I can listen to because I was traveling a lot. Mm-hmm. And it literally came up on my podcast, and it would have been, I don't even know what the first episode was.
Well, I'm going to thank you.
But obviously it was it was good. And I was like, oh, okay, so I can continue to do this. So for the most part, there are ones where I can't be bothered to listen when you're doing interviews. I really enjoy the ones that like the pro series or the really interesting ones. I will absolutely listen to the one. Yeah. Heck. And I'll listen to the one between you and Arden that's coming up because that's fascinating to me. What she doesn't know and how you guys talk about it and how she starts to understand it, how that works. I find that fascinating. So
I bet you would. Yeah. You should see the list she's making. Sometimes it just says I'm just write down everything you don't understand. She goes, okay, money. And I'm like, all right.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Arden.
Yeah. Why is there a two-party system in politics? And I'm like, write it down. She's got such a list. You should it's fast. It's going to be great. And by the way, concurrently, I'm also doing one with Jenny, but it's more about diabetes.
Yeah, see, I love Jenny. So I love when you guys get together. I love that.
But you love it for you. You don't go, Scott's really shining here. We should send him a cookie.
Yeah, but I think you shine better with Jenny.
About diabetes.
I think because there's even just commentary, even just the offhand commentary, or even just how
we know each other pretty
about things with Arden and stuff like that. I just the two of you together, that conversation about anything, I really enjoy. Mm-hmm. I really enjoy that. I don't whether it's chemistry or it's just knowing each other and being together for so long. If it's experience, it's just I think you shine better with Jenny in your series. So
I appreciate that. Go. Now I'm telling you, I appreciate it. I'm like, what am I fucking wasting my time telling her I appreciate it for? But let me thank you, even though I don't imagine this is going to touch you at all. But you've just unburdened me in a significant way.
Okay.
Because if you could try to imagine this thing that I do, there are people who absolutely love me. There are people who hate me. There are people who think I'm hurting people. There are people who think I'm helping people. There are people who think I'm saving people. The gamut of what people who can hear my voice think of me is amazing. None of them are 100% right, by the way. They don't really know. They don't actually know me. They know this bit of me, right? Which is fair enough, is a lot of me. I really don't hold anything back while I'm talking. But I also don't go into, if we would have talked more, if this conversation about abortion would have went a different way, I would have told you that I think that politically I'm pro-choice, but I also think that if you think that having an abortion's not killing something, I think you're lying to yourself. I see this thing very down the middle.
Yeah.
And I could argue either side of it, but I also think that might be my personality to some degree too, where I really do value trying not to take a stand one way or the other. And because I'm interested by the conversation, I'm just actually interested and I care about the people. You're interested and you're like, well, they're secondary to this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but anyway, you've unburdened me because I am never again going to spend 5 seconds wondering what people think of me.
No, you shouldn't.
And I'll tell you why. Because in a million, I listen, I don't care what people think of me. if I did, I wouldn't be doing this. Anybody who does this wouldn't be that impacted by it. I hope that people hear me and know that I'm being sincere and that I really do want to help people and, like all of that stuff. Like, I hope they hear that. If they don't, there's nothing I can do about it. And I guess in that, I don't care what they think of me. That's not why I'm thanking you. I'm thanking you because in a million fucking years, if you told me to write down how everyone intersects with you, Scott, when they listen to your podcast, your answer never would have come up. And now I know that this answer is a real answer. I got to stop wondering what the rest of them are because I'm never going to figure it out. So I'm now done. I will never again wonder what people think of me or why they think it. I had a person recently in a public setting stand up in front of people and badmouth me in front of a ton of people and really just baseless stuff. They don't know me. They purport to, they don't. This is not uncommon in my life, by the way, for people to run around pretending to know me and telling people things about me that are just not only they're not true, they've literally never met me before. And
it's wild.
Yeah, it's not making a podcast seems fun. But like, so that happens. There's also right now someone standing in a Costco grabbing someone with a CGM going, you have to listen to the Juicebox podcast. It saved my life. So like, you take the good, you take the bad, you take them both. Right. Then you've got Tootie and Joe. And what was everyone else's name on the Facts of Life? Tootie, Joe, Mrs. Garrett. Look at me. George Clooney was on there, but I don't know his name. There was the girl that rode the motors. That was Joe. I don't know anybody. I
don't know. I feel like it's probably way before my time.
Oh, yeah, you're young. You never watched The Facts of Life?
No.
Oh, my
absolutely
goodness. Not. A young George Clooney showed up later in episodes. Not the point. What a handsome man still today.
So I find the older George Clooney much more attractive.
As do I, although I'm straight and I'm not interested in having sex with him. But I do think he's getting better looking as he ages.
He ages very well. Absolutely.
We should all hope for it. Now, not the point.
Like a Tom Selleck. Sorry.
Oh, no problem at all. You don't look at you there. There was warmth in your voice there.
Yeah, not felt, but no, it's because I interrupted you, so I know that you're supposed to apologize, but it's fine.
I was going to ask a different question. If Tom Selleck showed up right now and he was like, "Yo, give me a role," you'd be or you'd be like, "No, I don't need you touching me."
Absolutely.
Oh, Tyler, I'm so sorry. Okay.
And Tyler knows. Like Tom Selleck came out with a book in the last few months, whenever it was, and like it was like a full on, like I was describing the porn that I would have with Tom Selleck to Tyler in front of his book in a very public setting. So Tyler knows.
Why that guy? If Tom, okay, hold on. Forget all that question. What if Tom Selleck dies? How are you going to feel? No way.
Probably the same. No, probably the same. Like it would probably be like, well, there goes an attractive man. And then carry on with my life. I
would think when they put Tom Selleck in the ground, the last thing to dissolve will be that mustache. I bet you it holds up to the very end. I bet you it's a skeleton with a...
It's fucking better. Like we better see like if there is a zombie anything, I hope he's just a skeleton with a fucking mustache. It is epic.
Yeah, like,
absolutely.
Listen.
How he was never a firefighter, I have no idea. But before you let me go, because I know that this is getting long, I do want to say, I also want to confirm your views on abortion is actually how I think it should be.
Oh, okay. Well, great. Now you agree with me. Now everybody's definitely going to hate me.
No, but like that's what it's supposed to be. But that is what pro-choice is, right? It's at the end of the day, it's so that a woman should have autonomy over her own body. It should be her choice. Should you still feel like you're potentially killing something or that you would want that life to continue and not be aborted? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But at the end of the day, should it be down to the woman's choice on whether or not that happens? Absolutely. That is the point.
Nothing is as black and white as we would hope for it to be. So whether it's abortion or something else, if you're taking a black or white side on a topic that's obviously more
gray,
dimensional than you're trying to make it out to be. I don't care if it's politics or an argument between two people, or it's the idea about abortion or, electric cars and gas cars or anywhere in between. If you're taking a steadfast position on a multifaceted idea, as if it's not a multifaceted idea, you are willfully ignoring some aspects of the conversation.
Correct.
Yeah. And so if you're pro-choice or pro-life, you are ignoring something. And I think an abortion, a pro-choice person is probably having to ignore the fact that I am ending a life. And a pro-life person is ignoring the fact that, not for nothing, Cate, and I don't even mean this poorly, but even if I did, you wouldn't give a shit. A person like you probably shouldn't have a baby.
No.
Right. So there we go.
Or like a person in poverty who can barely feed themselves probably shouldn't have a child either.
Might not be a good time to bring a life into the world.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And it sucks that it happened. Like it sucks. And you shouldn't have that against you.
That bit right there, right? Like using that as an example. If I was a person in poverty and I had no way out, if I make a baby, it's going to blah, blah, blah. Like you can see the possible trajectory. Now, another person will come in and say, well, you never know, that baby could end up finding the cure for cancer or blah. And also that's not unreal either. That's also true. And the point is that nothing's as simple as yes or no. And that's all. Like, I know you got to pick a side because it feels like you need to pick a side because I don't know, that seems to be how we're all wired, be on a team. You know what I mean? But like, once you're on the team, you know what I mean? Like, if you love the Baltimore Ravens, God bless you, but Ray Lewis might have killed that guy outside of the bar. You know what I mean? Like, also, I'd like to say I don't think Ray Lewis has ever murdered anybody, and I don't know anything, and I am certainly not. This is for entertainment purposes only. But stuff that you've heard in the world where you're like, I don't know, I'm going to choose to ignore that. Actually, you brought up Michael Jackson earlier. Let me tell you something. When I put on a Michael Jackson song, I willfully forget that he probably diddled those kids. Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No,
he's got snappy songs.
God damn, some of those songs are good. Some of those songs are so good.
Yeah.
And I've heard, by the way, that Eric Clapton said some weird stuff. I literally didn't look into it because I don't want to ruin fucking Cream. Okay? Like is he Canadian too, by the way? Clapton?
No. You know what?
Yeah?
I don't think so, but okay, I honestly don't know.
But I'm being serious. I know I know that somewhere in the world, there's conversations that Eric Clapton has said or done something that one side of a political argument wouldn't like. I genuinely do not know what it is and would never look into it because Cream was an awesome band and I don't want it ruined for me. Okay?
He's from the UK, by the way.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Google is right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's me going, don't tell me all the facts because, Michael Jackson is, I mean, honestly, what's that? Smooth Criminal? What a song. You know what I mean? Dun, 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 dun. Fantastic.
I know. It's like, it's on my baseball playlist. It's a fantastic song. It's a great walk-up song as well.
There's no doubt. My point is this. I don't care if it's abortion or whatever it is you want to talk about. It's not black and white, and we're all ignoring something to come to our own decisions. And that's not for nothing. I do think...
And be able to live with them. Like, at the end of the day, that's really what it is.
And are you okay? Like, do you feel okay with your decision?
I know it was the right decision. But do I still have, like, those lingering thoughts? Are they involved for more what I deprived Tyler of? Yes. Like, absolutely.
That you care about?
But I know that it was the right decision. Like, I would, if I had to do it again, I would do it again. I would never not do it.
My last question. Do you think you're mentally ill?
Yes, because it's literally diagnosed on paper. So, I mean, if you're like actually looking at the thing, it would say that I had a mental illness and it's called antisocial. Like, that would be there. So factually, yes. Do I think that we're all mentally ill in some way, shape, or form? I do. 100%. I do. I just think I'm a little bit more
outside of what we expect and what we hope for.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I am more forthcoming with the information, whereas other people may find it taboo. I'm just more forthcoming with the conversation. So people find it more fascinating and more like a mental illness, but I don't know. I don't know. If
your doctor calls you tomorrow and says, hey, Cate, found a pill, going to make you feel like everybody else, no side effects, it's magic, you take it?
I would take it, yes, because I've been on antidepressants before. I've been on medication before that changes that changes the way that your disease is, right? That you could say the same thing for Crohn's. I was on an immunosuppressant. I have Crohn's. I was on an immunosuppressant, completely was like I didn't have Crohn's, right? So
Right.
like I know what that is, but then you also have to consider that whilst there may not be any side effects in this perfect scenario, you are changing who you are, right? You're not technically genuine anymore.
Or is the Crohn's changing you and you're just putting it back?
I'm not on immunosuppressants anymore.
My point is, if the medication is changing who you are, isn't it possible you already changed and the medication's putting you back to who you should have been? Because insulin's doing that, right?
Yeah, with a lot of stuff to it. I suppose you could argue it in that.
Do you know what
way.
this episode's going to be called, Cate?
What the fuck?
After Dark. I'm going to call it After Dark, More Cate.
It's an interesting way to think. To be fair, I never thought about that on insulin, so that's probably going to be the nugget in my head for the rest of the day. Thank you very much, Scott, but whatever.
Is it okay with you if I do what I said about ChatGPT and read it into the end? Because you won't be able to hear it. Okay. I just realized I'm going to pull up Arden's note, or Arden's I don't understand list, because I've been writing stuff on the I don't understand list too. And people are not going to like me, but I don't understand gaslighting.
Like you don't.
It feels weird to me that people think that you can say something to them that gaslights them.
Oh.
But that you're okay with. You believe in gaslighting?
Quickly explain to me what gaslighting is again.
No. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
Like, he's gaslighting me.
Yeah.
Oh, so isn't it when you're like, you're cheating on me, and you're like, no, I'm not. Like I was
right.
Doing blah 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 blah. That's being gaslighted, isn't it?
That feels like lying to me. Did it need a new word?
Is that not light? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it not lying?
I put it on my list.
It should be on your list.
Yeah.
It's on my list too.
I don't understand a lot of things. Wait till you figure out all the I don't understand so much.
I'm excited for Arden.
Yeah. Oh, she's going to be great. We're going to do an entire big series. And I told her if people seem interested in it, I'll spin it off into its own podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah, because those are the things. I find that really fascinating too, that I don't have a dad YouTube thingy-ma-thingers. Or I don't have a mom. And so it's these people that are like, hey, this is how you change a tire. And and how people talk in the comments is so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
They're like, and I don't my dad passed. So I get it. I don't know how to look at foundation issues, which I learned without him. I don't think if I learned it off a YouTube channel that I would be I would be leaving an emotional comment, obviously. So I find it interesting when people get really emotionally invested in these things that they don't know about and that they've learned. I don't know. I think it's neat.
I swear to God, this list is fascinating. It's like, I don't understand money, life insurance, fingernails.
Fingernails.
People who create something from nothing. What do blind people see? Why aren't there more car accidents? How come more asteroids don't hit the planet? Who decided, this one I thought was fascinating, who decided when the first Monday was going to happen?
It's true. A man did.
And I was
they also did a 31-day calendar. It was a man. It wasn't a woman. You can tell her that.
My son jumped in. Where does the gas at the gas station come from?
And why does it change prices 5 times a day? Tell him that he should put that on his list.
That's economics, but so economics, I don't understand that at all. But he really meant, is it piped from somewhere, or is there a tank in the ground? He didn't know. And here's one thing that my kids, I guarantee you, to save their own life, could not explain Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's my business. So interesting.
Isn't that fascinating? They, for love or money, couldn't tell you what Wi-Fi is and how it works. They know what it does. They know why it's important to them. They do not know functionally how it works. So anyway, those are some of the conversations we're going to have. Yeah. It's going to be great.
So I would have thought that they would have known what, out of all the subjects, that things like that they would know.
No, they're like little morons. I can't wait to do this. It's going to be fantastic. And being serious, I think it really highlights all of the things that we expect that other people know that they have no idea about. But we run around projecting our own knowledge onto others all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. I will tell you that I used to think that I couldn't be successful at something because if it was a thing that people were successful at, someone would be better at it than me. Like, so why would I bother? There's obviously someone out there doing it better. And yet I made this thing. And generally speaking, nobody's knocked me off of this thing.
So do you suffer from imposter syndrome then?
No, I'm pretty confident.
No, my ego is quite
But when I was younger, I just assumed that if it was worth doing, someone had already done it better than I was going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but now I know where I'm at. But I also have metrics and feedback to prove it.
So it's you don't have imposter syndrome because the facts or your metrics prove that you shouldn't be an imposter, that you are doing the thing.
Yeah. The next closest diabetes podcast to me is a hobby at best by downloads. And I'm sure they're doing really well and they're probably great people. And like, I don't have anything against them. I'm just telling you that the amount of downloads that I do in a month versus what the next closest one does, I make them look like they don't have a podcast.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm confident. Yeah. So there's confidence that breeds with that.
Yeah, of course. Are you like brushing your shoulders off a little bit?
No, not at all. Like it's how it goes. Because again, it's not black and white. There's 1,000 things about me and this thing I'm doing that put the podcast where it's at. Right? Like listen, there's no one else. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and tell you, you are never again in the history of your life going to turn on a podcast that says it's about diabetes and have a type 1 come on and talk about their feelings about abortion. It ain't happening. So these.
I mean, to be fair, we didn't even really talk about it.
No, we did.
It's not going to happen.
No, we did. Everyone knows how you feel. Trust me. We got that all out completely. I just didn't want to spend 45 minutes asking you questions where you're like, nah, don't care. Yeah. Trust me, the way the conversation went was, I thought, bolstered the topic more than picking through the topic would have.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Anyway.
Totally.
Cool. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. Don't even bother answering. I know you don't.
No, it's never mind. Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, Of course.
All
Thanks.
Right. Oh, shut up. Just golf. All right, hold on a second. All right, guys, it's later in the day, and I did exactly what I said I was going to do. I took the transcript of that exact conversation. I put it into ChatGPT 4.0, and I gave it this instruction. Read this podcast episode transcript. Read it completely. The guest is named Cate. I want you to ignore her diagnosis of herself and listen to her describe her personality. Then make a psychological assessment of her. Based on Cate's description of her personality, behaviors, and emotions, here is a psychological assessment of Cate. Lack of empathy. Cate consistently mentions that she does not feel empathy for others, even for those close to her, like her husband. This is a significant trait in understanding her psychological profile. Impulsivity. Cate describes herself as highly impulsive, engaging in dangerous or risky behaviors for the thrill or sensation they provide. This is typical of impulsivity, often seen in certain personality disorders. Manipulative tendencies. Cate admits to being manipulative, indicating a strategic approach to interpersonal interactions, where she prioritizes her own needs and benefits over others. Lack of consideration for consequence. Cate mentions not thinking about the consequences of her actions, which ties into her impulsivity and her sense of invulnerability or optimism bias. Deficient emotional responses. Cate describes her emotional responses as largely learned behaviors rather than genuine feelings. She mimics appropriate social reactions rather than feeling them authentically. Egocentric outlook. Cate often relates everything back to herself and her own experiences, showing a self-centered perspective that underlies her interactions and decisions. Interest in taboo topics. Cate is drawn to discussing taboo topics and finds pleasure in making people uncomfortable. This could be indicative of a desire to challenge social norms or an attempt to connect through shock value. Now here's the psychological assessment. Antisocial personality disorder, ASPD. Cate's lack of empathy, impulsivity, manipulativeness, and disregard for social norms strongly suggest traits associated with ASPD. This disorder is characterized by a pervasive pattern of disregard for the rights of others, often manifesting in deceitful, manipulative, and exploitive behaviors. Optimism bias. Cate exhibits a cognitive bias where she believes negative outcomes are less likely to happen to her. This contributes to her risk-taking behavior and lack of concern for her consequences. Emotional detachment. Cate shows signs of emotional detachment, where she intellectually understands emotions but does not experience them in a typical manner. This detachment can lead to difficulties in forming deep emotional bonds and maintaining long-term relationships. Impacts on her relationship. Cate's relationship with her husband is complex. She acknowledges a different type of affection for her dogs than for her husband, and her interactions with him are often more transactional than emotional. Cate's lack of empathy and manipulative tendencies likely make social interactions challenging. She relies on learned behaviors to navigate social situations, which can be perceived as insincere by others. Her personality profile suggests a significant presence of traits associated with antisocial personality disorder, marked by a lack of empathy, impulsivity, manipulativeness, and a self-centered approach to life. Her emotional detachment and reliance on learned social behaviors further complicate her interactions and relationships. Understanding these traits can help in developing strategies for managing her behaviors and improving her interpersonal relationships. Now, I didn't ask it this, but I'm thinking this right now. Is her personality indicative of a specific trauma? What do you think, kids? Any chance that something leads to something more often than not? They don't directly point to a specific trauma, but rather suggest a complex interplay of various factors. Lack of empathy. A significant lack of empathy can sometimes result from early childhood experiences, including neglect or emotional deprivation. However, Cate did not explicitly mention that. Impulsivity and risk-taking. These traits can be linked to both genetic factors and environmental influences, while trauma, especially during formative years, can lead to increased impulsivity and risk-taking behaviors as a coping mechanism. Cate does not provide clear evidence of a specific traumatic event. It's very clear to make sure that it tells you, like, I'm guessing at this. Manipulations as a defense mechanism can arise from environments where individuals learn to prioritize their own needs in response to unstable or unsafe surroundings. Trauma might contribute to this, but Cate did not indicate a history of manipulative behavior stemming from trauma. An emotional detachment can develop as a proactive response to trauma, particularly if an individual experiences overwhelming emotions they cannot process. Her description of her lack of genuine emotional response could suggest some form of emotional trauma, but again, she did not explicitly connect this to a specific event. Here it gives us Cate's own words on trauma. It says she mentions having trauma, but not specific incidents that align directly with her personality traits. And Cate's own self-diagnosis leans towards ASPD, which can develop due to a mix of genetic predisposition and environmental factors, including trauma. That's something. Nature versus nurture. Cate's antisocial tendencies and lack of empathy could be influenced by genetic factors. While she does not specifically direct trauma, the development of her personality could be influenced by broader environmental factors, including potentially traumatic experiences, if she may not explicitly recognize or articulate them. Okay. Is there any data that indicates a GLP medication could help her? This is interesting. Then I'm done. GLP medications commonly used for diabetes management have shown some interesting effects on mental health beyond their primary purpose. However, the data on their impact or personality traits or conditions, like those described by Cate, is limited. Here's a breakdown of what is known. GLP medications. Some studies have indicated GLP-1 medication might have a positive impact on mood disorders such as depression and anxiety. This could be due to the influence of GLP on the neuroinflammation and neuroplasticity. There have been anecdotal reports of some preliminary research suggesting GLP medications might help with certain aspects of bipolar disorder. I mentioned that episode during this is what made me ask this. And then research is ongoing into the cognitive and behavioral effects of GLP-1. There are indications that these medications might influence brain functions related to reward, appetite, and possibly even impulse control. There is no direct evidence or clinical trial data suggesting that a GLP-1 medication could treat ASPD. ASPD is primarily treated through psychotherapy, which medications sometimes use to address specific symptoms like aggression or co-occurring conditions such as depression or anxiety. Anyway, ChatGPT, baby, you can have a good conversation with it. A huge thanks to US Med for sponsoring this episode of the Juicebox Podcast. Don't forget, usmed.com/juicebox. This is where we get our diabetes supplies from. You can as well. Use the link or call 888-721-1514. Use the link or call the number, get your free benefits check so that you can start getting your diabetes supplies the way we do from US Med. A huge thank you to one of today's sponsors, Gvoke Glucagon. Find out more about Gvoke HypoPen at gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox. You spell that GVOKEGLUCAGON.com/juicebox. If you're living with type 1 diabetes, the After Dark collection from the Juicebox Podcast is the only place to hear the stories that no one else talks about. From drugs to depression, self-harm, trauma, addiction, and so much more. Go to juiceboxpodcast.com, up in the menu, and click on After Dark. There you'll see a full list of all of the After Dark episodes. I can't thank you enough for listening. Please make sure you're subscribed or following in your audio app. I'll be back tomorrow with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. Hey, what's up, everybody? If you've noticed that the podcast sounds better, and you're thinking, like, how does that happen? What you're hearing is Rob at Wrong Way Recording doing his magic to these files. So if you want him to do his magic to you, wrongwayrecording.com. You got a podcast? You want somebody to edit it? You want Rob.